I'm Teacher Robin. Welcome to another live streaming class. If this is your first time to join us, let me explain how the classes work. Today we're going to talk about the difference between much and many. So if you have a question during the class, you can write your question in the comments and I'll be checking them as we go along. And at the end of my lesson, I have some questions for you to practice what you've learned, and you can also write your answers in the comments and we'll check them together. So why have I chosen this topic today? Because many students confuse these two adverbs, or in question form, we put them with how much or how many. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly when to use one or the other, and then we're going to practice together. Let's start with much, or how much if you're asking a question. Okay, we use how much with uncountable nouns. So an uncountable noun means that you cannot count it with a number. So some examples are time, money, foods like sugar, milk, traffic. But you might be thinking, why? Yes, of course I can count the time. I say it's 3 o'clock. Or of course I can count money. I say $5. But actually what you're using to count is not this noun itself. You don't say, how much time do you have? I have 5 times. No, you say, I have 5 minutes. Or how much money do you have? I have $10, not 10 monies. Okay? So that's why we say that these nouns are uncountable. So let's look at some examples with uncountable nouns. For example, how much time do you have? To answer this question, we can use the adverb a lot of. So I have a lot of time, or in the negative, we can say I do not have much time today. Okay, so you can say, you can also take away this a lot of, you can say I have time, but if you want to be more specific, you can say I have a lot of time, or you can say I have a little time, which is the opposite. Let's look at another example. There wasn't much traffic driving home today. Okay, so we can't put a specific number with the amount of traffic, but we can kind of describe it according to much or a lot, for example. Okay, now let's look at the other adverb, many. So let's look at how many. With how many, we use countable nouns. So these are nouns that you can count with a number. All right, so we have things like days. How many days? 2 days, 3 days, etc. Coins or bills. So this is going back to the money. So how much money do you have? You can answer with $5, etc. How many dollars do you have? I have 5. Okay, spoons of sugar. So for example, sugar itself is uncountable. But when you specify with spoons of sugar, it becomes countable. So how many spoons of sugar do you want in your coffee? I want 1, or I want 2. Bottles of milk. Okay, so milk is uncountable. But when you put it with bottles, so specific bottles, then it makes it a countable noun. Okay, another example would be cars. There are many, many, many countable nouns, but I'm just showing you a few. So let's look at some examples and then we're going to practice together. How many days is your vacation? 10 days. So I can describe it with a number, therefore days is countable. How many days is your vacation? As I said before, how many spoons of sugar do you want in your coffee? 2, please. Okay, I see some people are joining us. Lida, Mustafa, and Taban, say hello. Okay, thank you for joining us. Feel free to write where you're joining from and if you have any questions related to this topic. Now I want to practice together, so I've just showed you the difference between how much and how many. I want to ask you 2 questions and then I want to challenge you to practice writing some questions yourself. So my first question is, how much time do you spend studying English? And my second question is, how many countries have you visited? So remember, the first one, how much, this is uncountable. How many, this is countable. okay? And if you have time, if you feel like practicing a little bit more, I challenge you to write questions to each other. Those of you watching this class, you can ask each other questions with how much and how many. So let's see what questions that you have for each other. So as you are writing your answers, let me tell you a little bit more about Abba English and all of the opportunities we have for you to study English with us. One of those that you're watching right now is our live streaming classes. In addition, we have a complete course that goes from beginners to business level. So our course features all levels and it's based on video. So you watch a short film and then you complete exercises based on all of the skills that you need to learn. So reading, writing, speaking, and listening, those are all covered in the course. And we have a web version and an app. So you can study both from home on your computer, or you can take it with you on your phone as you go to work, while you're having lunch, etc. And if you study with the app, an added bonus is that you have Live English, which is a feature where you have free content, new pieces of content being published every day, like articles, exercises, song lyrics, fill in the blanks, all kinds of really good information for you to practice your English. And there's even more. We have a blog called our Abba Journal, so you can find there articles about English for business, travel, more grammar explanations. If you're interested in more information about today's topic, how much and how many, you can even find more information there. And we're available on all of the social media networks, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and we're updating those channels every day. So check them out if you haven't already. So I'm going to check if we have some answers. All right, I see we have a few practicing with how much and how many. So we'll just wait a couple of seconds while I'm finding the question. Okay, great. Mustafa says, I spend 5 hours to learn English and I've traveled, I think you mean I've traveled to 0 countries. Okay, well, at least one is your own country, so good, very good. Thank you for answering the question. Are there any other answers for now? Okay, people are still writing. That's fine. Let me tell you while you're answering the questions about next week's topic, because next week we celebrate the International Day of Happiness. I don't know if you knew that this day existed, but it does. So we're going to talk about different expressions related to happiness in English. So I hope that you can join us and I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, I think there are 1 or 2 more answers to our questions about how much and how many. Again, if you want to keep writing or think about it and practice later, then I can check your comments later on, even after the live class is finished. So don't worry. And remember that the video will stay online, so you can watch it again as many times as you need to. And you can take notes. You can even share it with your friends if you want. So I hope this information is useful for you. Okay, we have a question from Mustafa. Doesn't understand why time and money are uncountable. Because time itself, yes, of course you can say, what time is it? It's 5 o'clock. But this is changing. You're not saying it's 5 times. You're saying it's 5 o'clock. Okay, so if you have to use another noun to describe an amount, then it's uncountable. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The same with money. If I say, how much money do you have? You would say, I have $10. But here you're changing from the noun money to the noun dollars. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So the more you practice, the more it'll start to become natural. Is this countable or uncountable? Okay, so keep practicing, and thanks for sharing your answers. Are there any more? Let's see. I think there's one more. All right, great. So we're going to wait for their answer. And again, I hope that you are writing your answers in the comments and that you're challenging each other with your questions. I'd like to see a conversation starting here in the comments. All right, good. Asako says, I don't spend so much time to study English, but right now I need to prepare for something. Sorry, it cut off, but good job. Very good. Okay, he needs to prepare for the IELTS, and I've been to 16 countries. Wow, very good. Okay, that's great. So you've traveled a lot, and I hope that in those countries you were able to practice your English. So I think we can stop there. Thank you so much for your participation. We've had a lot of people watching and participating today. Keep writing in the comments, and I'll check your answers later on. Don't forget to join us next week for International Day of Happiness class. And thank you again. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.